technology waves. We started with silicon, it moved to computers, and then things started moving to software, and from the desktop it moved to mobile. From mobile it became ubiquitous. We're going back again to the hardware and IoT part. It's making circles.
What we're talking about is how do we identify when to include human in the loop? At what point do you actually create that break?
There is violence in the video games. It's so many guns and so many things. In a normal world it's not possible, but a child thinks you do it on a screen, it's normal to do it off screen.
We don't want these to be as patterns or socially acceptable AI norms for children to look at. So we want to be conscious about this when we are generating AI systems.
What does the future classroom with AI look for a child?
AI should be used for hyper-personalized experience for every child. The teacher should identify what changes the child needs in terms of education, make it more creative.
Saving memories of people who are dead and creating avatars out of them so you can talk to them like they're alive. So this was like a rage, and then they had digital girlfriends who have all your secrets, but then they also soothe you. Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. I'm super excited to be in this amazing studio, lots of good energy, and there's going to be more good energy coming in the podcast because of the topic we are talking about. We are here with an AI innovator, someone who spent a lot of time in product engineering, and she has many patented innovations coming from companies like Veritas, Semantic, and now she has a very unique AI startup of her own. And this is in a place which is anchored in trust. It is anchored in creating better humans, not because of the productivity aspect of AI. It's just because the AI is designed to enhance the human nature, to keep our human nature intact the way it is supposed to be, so that the machines do not take over our natural instincts. There is a lot of work to be done in this domain of trust, how it's affecting our children, our aged population. There is an entire population who's quietly tolerating the after effects of AI coming in so soon. Someone needs to think about this. We just have the right person. Without further ado, let's bring on Dhanashri Phadke. She is currently a founder of a stealth startup, and let's find out what she's doing right here in Silicon Valley. Dhanashri, welcome to Pitch Cafe podcast.
Thank you, Vida. Thank you for putting spotlight into this really important topic. And I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you in this beautiful studio, as you mentioned.
I know. We can't stop raving about it. We'll do a small reel on this later on. But before we, hop onto that reel, let's really get to the core issue here. Dhanashri, what brought you to Silicon Valley? Every founder's journey begins with passion. It begins with a conviction to change something. And what kind of background led you to start Hasri Labs? It's a very unique startup. You guys should check it out. What she's trying to do is incredibly important. We've had recent events about articles on how frontier models should be governed and how it's going to impact the human race. These are fundamental questions we need people to build in the space. So Dhanashri, tell us all about your background and your conviction. Where does the conviction for Hasri Labs stem from?
I'm going to share a bit of personal story behind Hasri Labs. 2 generations of my family have been experiencing ambient AI, right? AI is everywhere these days. It's in our lives. On one end of the spectrum is my father, who is undergoing his neurological journey, where I always feel, could we have done better if we had used AI to amplify signals? Could we have done better to catch or help him in his journey, right? And on the other end of the spectrum is my daughter, who is growing up with AI native world around her. So she is never going to know a world without intelligent automation.
Yeah.
Something that is pervasive, something that is going to influence her decisions, which is counterintuitive to what we talked about, right?
Yeah.
There's mixed signals, and now there is an overwhelming opportunity to capture signals.
Yeah.
So, where do you find that balance?
Yeah.
How do you use AI to create trust, to build consent driven systems, to help human and build that AI human collaboration so that the right signals are captured, building trustworthy AI, and it is a consent driven infrastructure, but not for vulnerable populations that are not aware of it, right? Not aware of what data is being scavenged and passed on.
Yeah.
And where they're getting this hyper personalized.
Give us a few
context.
examples. What are those specific instances which really made you feel this? Like, was there something that shocked you with your personal data, or something that happened to your child or your father? Give us an example.
So I'll give you a really fun example. I don't know if I should call it fun, but something that woke me up recently and sort of made me realize that what I'm doing right now with privacy first architecture is extremely needed at this point of time. So I entered my phone number at a boba store recently and my child's name popped up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have never entered her information anywhere, honestly. I mean, she's not even present on social media because I want her to have those choices when she grows up. But that was a moment of reckoning for me. That made me realize that this is important. This is a platform that we need to develop where we are protecting vulnerable population and creating these high trust environments, whether it is our elderly or whether it is our kids. Another instant, and this propelled me into building Hasri Labs. But before we get to that, another instance that I'd like to give you an example out here is I love to volunteer at my child's school, right? And there's so much heart that goes into volunteering. Parents put all their energy, kids put all their energy to celebrate, come together. But in these situations, most of the data is fragmented and it's captured without any continuity, right? Sometimes it's a spreadsheet, sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's a Facebook post, sometimes it's an Instagram post. But how do we create a community, a platform to celebrate, a platform where we can organize events, but ensure that no data is leaked? And that prompted me actually to build like a little app for her school. And we had like 100 plus campaigns launched. And that gave me so much joy. And to see the kids, celebrating their teachers, celebrating the school. And we decided to expand it to now having community events. And that has, it's just piloted a few days ago. So it gives me great pleasure here to tell you more about it. That Vida is something that is in early access right now, and it is driven to get community together, but it is invite only. There is data privacy. It's built with those foundations. It's not been an afterthought.
Wonderful. No, so that being said, what is your revenue model like? Do you support advertising, or how does it
No.
work? Nothing. It's just completely private.
It is completely private. As I said, I am driven by tech for social good. I do not want to share this data anywhere. You have to be absolutely confident about that. I mean, I am absolutely confident about that particular platform where we are not going to share this information. And we want to create that safe space for communities to collaborate and grow.
Wonderful. So now, is it the right time for us to introduce your startup, Hasri Labs? What does it look like? And is Vida a part of Hasri Labs?
That's right. So Hasri Labs, really the focus has been talking about, or the focus for Hasri Labs, as I said, is building technology with a purpose, technology for social good. As AI gets more and more ambient and drives our everyday life, how do you want AI to collaborate with humans? Where, we are really strengthening that human agency. We are building AI to capture the right signals so that it can respond to a human with dignity and trust and confidence and less friction and empathy. And couple of products that we are building with this thought is Hasri Age Tech and Vida.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, Vida is right now in early access. We're getting feedback and making it better for the community to use it. And Hasri Age Tech is something, again, very close to my heart. And I talked about, missed signals. How do we amplify these mixed signals? How do we drift detection?
What is a mixed signal again?
So when I was talking about, the neurological signals that were missed, so Hasri Age Tech is focused on elderly, and this is a care intelligence platform. It is going to touch every element or every persona for the enriched lives of our elderly. So I'll give you an interesting dynamics and an interesting data point here. This what I experienced is not in isolation, right? If you look at the data, 1 in 6, and this is what data says, right? 1 in 6 globally is going to be above 60 by 2030.
Wow. Because longevity's technologies have improved so much.
Correct.
So we're dealing with a geriatric population.
Correct.
Yeah.
And 1 in 6 is already lonely.
Oh my God. Okay.
So how do we build technology which is going to connect? And it's kind of like, if you think about it, there are so many ways to connect right now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But even then, it's kind of contradictory when you look at these statistics. So there is room for improvement here. And especially with the elderly, I think that it's not just about, finding that drift detection or finding how we can, keep them in a much more healthier space. Of course, that is important. But I think that on a day-to-day basis, what is it that they need? What is it that they enjoy? How do they feel more connected? That is the space that Hasri Age Tech is exploring.
So, yeah, this is a very multimodal approach, is what I'm hearing. Because most apps, they are on the phone and they're selling you something which is more, I would say, it comes in a stream. It's an algorithm. It's detecting your the way interacting with the app, but it's not detecting how you are interacting with your environment, which is very organic and natural to you. And that's a good space to be.
You hit the nail on the head, Vida.
Thank you.
With that.
Okay. Yeah.
You really did. Because I think that right now, what we are doing is we are establishing a generic baseline and trying to evaluate everybody based on that generic baseline.
Yeah.
Right? But that is not how it should be. What is a change of mood or a change of signal for a person is maybe identified better with people who are closer to that person, right? It could be a caregiver, it could be a spouse, it could be a clinician. And a lot of these signals, like I was talking about earlier, are not captured right now because these are like minor changes. So how do we capture them? How do we analyze it, make it hyper personalized to that person?
Yeah.
And then not only, so I'll give you an example. If you missed a particular communication with your family, as a family, what do you want?
Yeah.
You want your family member to also be mentally joyful, healthy,
Yeah.
So, Hasri Age Tech, we are also addressing this problem. How do we get families together? How do we capture that legacy? How do we keep those memories that matter? How do we pass on these memories to the next generation? Things that, are very specific to maybe culture and inclusivity.
Yeah.
So, I think that that is what we are doing. We are obviously like looking at it from a care intelligence platform, but elements of it touch all aspects of your life.
Yeah, I've been interacting with a lot of people in this longevity space for a while because I was before I was a podcaster, I was working with early stage startup founders and VCs, and then of course I do work with VCs quite a bit right now, but I'm more focused on CXOs. I felt there was this entire technology focused on memories.
Yes.
And what they do to you, and saving memories, and then memories of people who are dead, so that and creating avatars out of them, so you can talk to them like they are alive. Let's say you were your grandfather's favorite, and your grandfather is no more. When you miss your grandfather, you make your grandfather's avatar alive and ask him, I'm making this career move. What do you think? And then you've got his grandfather digital DNA, and it processes everything and say, this is what your grandfather would say if they were alive. So, so this was like a rage. A lot of people, and then they had digital girlfriends, companions who have all your secrets, but then they also soothe you. So tell me how you are different from them, because there were some horror cases out of this.
Yes.
So people stopped interacting with real people because they were so used to the digital persona. It was so comforting and it was so personalized.
I know.
Yeah.
So if there's a story that my mom would like my daughter to know, it could be a family recipe, it could be something that you do special for a specific occasion.
Yeah.
If you ask my mother to solve a crossword puzzle, I don't think she's going to do it. But if it involves something that has been related to her.
Yeah, absolutely. It's contextually so strong and compelling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is the context in which we are creating these games, or what we call a family connection, where, you're building memories on a day-to-day basis. And it's also giving signals to your family.
Yeah.
How are you engaging with them?
Yeah.
And I think that that is such an important aspect, which now we are in this day and age, we can actually use technology for this advantage.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's amazing. This is so compelling, this example. So, a few years ago, Stanford University, in collaboration with Bill Gates, they started this, not in collaboration, but Bill Gates was definitely backing this vision of a human-centric AI. So now I think it's merged into computer science department in some capacity in Stanford University. And there was a professor from New York University. She did this such a passionate pitch about keeping her grandmother's memories alive, exactly the way that would be relevant to her. And this was like 5 years ago when I used to go to Stanford. So this is a concept which is very dear to the smartest people on the planet. And they're seeing it coming, that technology is going to take over the human side, and they're doing everything they can to preserve it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that this is vital.
Yeah.
And our focus should be on human-centered AI and building AI, which is going to actually strengthen the human agency.
Yeah. If they don't do it ground up, we are at an emergency right now. The Nobel laureate declared a very short window for us to put governance together, and constantly he's under the gun, with the White House, with the Congress, whatever. He has to go and testify, or his team has to justify why he did things in a certain way to protect the privacy of data, autonomy of the individual citizen. So this is pretty important. If it's not there by design, which is what you're trying to do at Hasri, it's going to come back and bite you in some other way. So you can't avoid this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Yeah. Before it becomes a pain, you swallow the pill now as a vitamin, because then if you don't, then it becomes a pain. Now, so let's go to your background. Why are you the right person? Tell us about the patents you worked on and some of the crazy technology in cybersecurity that you worked on, and you understood the pain point, the why of it.
So, as I mentioned, well, interestingly, my patents have been about sustainability.
Oh, okay.
And how do you really ensure that you are saving energy?
Okay, so your
It
heart is in the right place, basically.
it has
Okay.
always been in the right place.
Right place. Okay, okay.
But I'll tell you something. When I learned about or when I pushed myself to think about patterns and innovate, I think that innovation should be grounded in customer need. It becomes more fruitful when you're innovating when there is a need. And I think working at enterprise level companies really gave me that rigor to innovate in a space, push the boundaries,
Mhm.
like push the boundaries from a technological standpoint, but also ensure that relentlessly you are customer centric.
Yeah.
Why me? Why Hasri? Why not?
What is Hasri, by the way? Tell
So,
us what it means.
Hasri is an acronym for Human Augmented Signal Resonance Infrastructure.
Wow, I thought it's a Hindi word.
It is.
Okay.
And it also is very personal to me because Hasri means joyful.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Okay.
we are building joyful
Oh, so cool.
technology.
So you'll do well in India and US both.
I hope so. And I'll make my father happy because he used to call me that.
Oh my God. This is so deeply personal. It's like the entire world is conspiring for you to do this in all
think
different
so.
ways. Okay. Tell us about what it was like to leave a comfort of a job and start something like this. I mean, I know you're a patent holder. Doing a patent is creating something new. It's not new to you. You have a very systematic approach to it. But then doing a startup is a whole new level.
Oh,
And it's crazy, right? A
tell me
lot of
about it.
uncertainties. Everything is gray and you chart your own course. So what is it like leaving the comfort zone and what has kept you going?
It's not easy, like you said, but I think that, as I told you, like this is not only personal, but when you see the urgency, right, and you see the scale that so many people are going to get impacted by this technology, you really feel like, how do you bring all the experience of my many years of working in enterprise softwares to actually create that impact? I think this is a good time because human AI collaboration is a space that deeply interests me. And also, I feel like it's undergoing an evolution.
Okay, and unpack this word urgency. See, for me, urgency is Dario Amodei, Demis Hassabis, and Sam Altman are hitting the headlines about governance. For me, that's urgency. But you're talking about the urgency you felt a few years ago. What was that back then? What did you see? Because you're the technology expert, you're seeing something which normal people can't see because you're in the trenches in a cybersecurity company or otherwise. What did you see? What is urgency according to you?
So let me talk about it from multiple angles, right? The urgency, what I'm referring to is, yes, you talked about all these great people feeling the need to have focus on, governance and building trustworthy systems responsible by design. I feel like in the agentic world that we are entering, and as we're moving from pilots to production, what is happening is AI is not limited, or the AI governance in particular is not limited to just the data.
Yeah.
But it is now shifting to AI behavior. You really need governance around that.
Explain AI behavior.
I'll give you an example. Suppose you're chatting with a chatbot or you're calling on the phone. I'm pretty sure everybody's experienced this at some point of time, right? You really want to talk to the human.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
How
not the
many
same.
times have you said operator
Yeah.
or get me to a human?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the frustration that chatbot has not recognized.
Yeah.
Imagine if they would have understood that.
Yeah.
Imagine if, and this is a very simple
This
example.
is the next level.
Right?
We went all automated, all AI, and now the ball is swinging in the other direction.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about something very simple here, very
Yeah.
rudimentary,
Yeah.
right? This is your first experience with a chatbot. And now AI is becoming ambient, right? What are the signals that you're capturing? What are the signals that you're measuring on? What is the friction? What is like, when does this, and what we talked about right now is nothing but a human signal. It's an override signal. I don't want to follow the same path. How do we build systems that actually empathize, which actually understand what you want to do? What does the human want?
Yeah, this is a human-centered design. If you think about technology waves, we started with silicon. That's why we are here
Right.
in Silicon Valley. And then it moved to computers. And then the things started moving to software. And from the desktop, it moved to mobile. And from mobile, it became ubiquitous. It was not just in the phone, it was everywhere around us. Now, the technology of AI is still making circles and improving the model performance,
Right.
the compute, the token. So we're going back again to the IoT part, the hardware and IoT part. It's making circles basically, because IoT is where all the signals get captured, your edge devices, the chips implanted in the edge, and then it either communicates with the local server or the mothership, the data center, whatever. So this is making circles, and I think you are including more human in this circle. When it's making a loop, it's a good time to add human in the design, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that what we're talking about is how do we identify when to include human in the loop? Right?
Wonderful.
At what point do you actually create that break?
Yeah.
And I think that is the reason why, as we're developing these systems, and AI is now acting.
Yeah.
It's reasoning, it's replying, it's coding, it's doing everything.
Yeah.
How do we actually make sure that the human judgment is not overridden?
Wonderful. So, when I look at the Hasri Labs, the R, it says resonance. And in our past conversations, we talked so much, you and I, about digital empathy. So, why don't you tell the audience, who are watching you, what is the resonance in Hasri, HASRI? What is digital empathy? Why is it so important right now? Is it the same as what you were describing just now, or does it have more layers to it?
It definitely, let's
Go to
unpack
resonance
empathy first. So when you talk about empathy is really, from a human standpoint, it is just putting yourself into a situation, into other person's shoes, pausing and understanding and then responding.
Yeah.
Right. And now, with the digital world, how do you bring that into our conversations with AI?
Yeah.
And within those systems? So I think that is what digital empathy essentially is. Like, how do you bring that quality into AI? Obviously, machines cannot think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then, can you design them in such a way that you enable the right signals being caught and the right action being taken?
Yeah.
When you notice that change. When you talk about resonance and why this is important right now, we've talked about, frameworks which are out there, right? You have frameworks which help you build systems. There is NIST, there is ISO 42001, there is OWASP for LLMs. All these frameworks give you guidelines on how you're going to build systems which have the right guardrails in place.
When you say guardrails, what do you mean?
Content filtration. It gives you operational guardrails for building responsible systems.
So this is not cybersecurity. This is something else.
This is something else. But I'm talking about it from an AI standpoint. From a cybersecurity standpoint, obviously, you need to ensure that the data that you have is protected. It's not crossing the boundaries. There's no attacks happening. There are no deep fakes. So there's a whole world to it, right?
I just feel, look, I'm not an insider to cybersecurity, honestly, but I've been interacting with so many cybersecurity people. I just feel governance, digital empathy, trustworthiness, it just boils down to trust. And the content guardrails, the quality of content should so much be a part of cybersecurity. as much as the technology aspect of it is. The human aspect is so much getting into it because cybersecurity fails at human behavior.
Absolutely.
There is a very strong element of humanness that is used in cybersecurity only in identifying the attacker behavior or the slip ups on the user's behavior. But there is a human aspect to the content and the digital empathy aspect of it. I think cybersecurity will emerge into that. It may be called something else, but
I
you
agree.
cannot ignore it is incomplete without considering that.
I agree with you 1000%. I think we need to look at it from a holistic standpoint.
Yeah.
Like you rightfully said, it is not just limited to the traditional security.
Yeah.
It is
Something
morphing
else. Yeah.
into a much more deeper signal capturing,
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
holistic system
Exactly.
where we have to ensure we build it from the ground up.
Yeah, you cannot capture faces, in a private setting, But,
Yes.
things like that. We should, which is Facebook is doing because there are a lot of issues with Meta on Instagram.
Right.
Right. So they started doing that. I do see the warnings, but things like that. Oh, this is created by AI, or would you like to sign up for this kind of questionnaire kind of things?
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, great. Now, what is the hidden problem nobody's talking about in terms of the violence, the content that is programming the algorithms, the part which is not very peaceful, in the content training part, is that going to come back and bite us? The aspects which we don't want our kids to be exposed to, it's kind of creeping into the algorithms, isn't it?
Yes and no, in a way that we have a lot of technological advances. We are ensuring that there is content filtration, red teaming, monitoring systems. So there's a lot of profanity checkers as
Yes.
well that LLMs provide these days.
And in the games, there is this violence in the video games.
Right.
It's so many guns and so many things which are in a normal world, it's not possible. But the child thinks you do it on a screen, it's normal to do it off screen.
Absolutely. So, we don't want these to be as patterns or socially recognizable or socially acceptable AI norms, right, for children to look at.
Yeah.
So we want to be conscious about this when we are generating AI systems, right? We have the guardrails in place right now. There are a number of frameworks that I just mentioned. There are many ways that companies are, creating these boundaries and guardrails. But you're absolutely right. This should not be injected into what is acceptable socially. So we have to add those gates right when we are even training any data.
Wonderful. So, let's talk about what you envision the product for the children. I mean, we obviously talked about Asian population and how it keeps the memories that are relevant to them alive. It makes things fun for them. It keeps them energized and motivated to live on. So let's talk about the future of AI for children, how you see it. What does the future classroom with AI look for a child? Let's say in 2035 or 2036, what does it look like?
So I think that AI should be used for hyper-personalized experience for every child, right? The teacher should identify what changes the child needs in terms of education, make it more creative but it is not a replacement for the teacher or for the human in the loop. But I think that it can create a lot of interesting, creative learning capabilities that the child can thrive on.
Yeah.
And that is what I see in future, expanding the creative angle with which the child is going to learn. Also, I feel in 2030 or 2036, the ability to capture, grasp information, innovate, that will be available for children at a much younger age.
Yeah.
They probably will be exposed to so much of information and knowledge and can discover what they really like as they go through these AI capabilities. But you have to obviously ensure, and I can't stop harping about it, that there should be no data scavenging for vulnerable population.
Yeah.
let's make it privacy by choice and let the children decide what is it that they're interested in.
One of the most disturbing aspects, I did work with some, not work, I got a cybersecurity expert on my podcast a couple of months ago. He's been paid millions of dollars by these companies just to come and make a game addictive. You were talking about like the scroll should be addictive. That's how he's supposed to program. And because they are going to make billions of dollars, they don't mind paying him millions of dollars to do that. This is like a job. You can take it up.
Oh my
God. That's the first thing which came to my mind because the child will not know what the world is like. Like coming back to the first thing you said on the podcast, you're raising a child in an AI native world. They don't know what being human looks like anymore. So it's a very important topic.
Yes, I mean, it should not dictate how they think. It should not be so pervasive in the thought. I think that we need to leave that alone. But the capabilities are amazing. Right?
So, another aspect which bothers me about the loneliness, how do we prevent the loneliness epidemic? Loneliness, maybe it'll become a pandemic one day. It could be a pandemic on its own. People don't know how to interact with each other. You don't want to get there. So what is the loneliness epidemic looking like, and what can we do in the next decade to avoid that?
Like I said, the way I look at it is we are not limited by connecting tools. We have a number of ways and channels to connect. What is limiting us is the ability to do it in a secure fashion. If we have these tools, we should also be encouraged to use them. And not only use them, I think the other element of it is that you talked about avatars, right? Digital avatars, and you are addicted to chatting with a digital avatar. I feel like, is that something that you would use AI for? Is it something that is going to create more social anxiety and more disconnect with other humans if you are so reliant on a digital avatar? And I feel like AI should be used or channels should be built to encourage community with more human contact. And that is how I think we could possibly tackle loneliness. And we have all the right technological advancements right now
to do that.
Honestly.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Well, like the way we pulled through pandemic, we powered through something like that.
Yes. We will not let this happen.
Again. It was kind of like a good learning experience. It showed us where we could get with tech if it's not handled properly.
Right.
So on that note, as we wrap up, a quick rapid fire question, what's the one book that inspired you that you think everybody should read?
I recently read a book by Philly. She is, amazing.
Oh my God. She's amazing.
The godmother of AI.
Like she's like kick-ass.
Fabulous. And it's a fabulous book. I would totally recommend everybody to read it.
Wonderful. And what's your favorite productivity hack? What keeps you going?
Clarity of thought. I think that it's so hard to get to
right now. What's the most underrated founder trait?
Humility. I really feel like that makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. What profession would you choose if you were not in technology?
Teacher.
You'd be a teacher?
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. It screams out of you. So I see you, I'm like...
My daughter is going to run away the moment she hears this.
What is a one piece of advice you'd give your younger self? I'd never give any advice to my younger self. I would allow myself to be as reckless as possible because I always believed I don't want to look back. But now that I feel like I should have been a little more careful. But what do you?
I'm with you, Vida. I think take more chances.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Don't
give any advice. Absolutely. I never regret. My husband is like, okay, do you ever regret? She's like, no, this needs to be done. I'm doing it. It's like, no regrets. No, I tried. And this worked out, this did not. So I don't care. It's just one more thing to do,
That is amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, so we are on the same page. And one AI prediction you're willing to bet your reputation.
Trustworthy AI has to be the foundation.
Okay.
That is the key.
Okay. And to wrap up, what can we expect from Dhanashri and Hasri Labs in the next year? as a wrap up question, and how can people reach you?
We are going to build those tools for Tech for Social Good. We are going to create that impact and strengthen the human agency. And yeah, look out for us on hasri.ai and get connected. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And I hope
Are you
that
hiring?
fits you.
Are you hiring?
Soon.
Soon. What kind of roles?
Machine learning AI roles.
Okay,
Yes.
technical roles. And are you raising? How far are you from raising first pre-seed check or angel investor check?
I think that we are some days out from that. I mean, we are still very early days, and we have just given early access to Vida, so not that far, but getting there.
You have good traction.
I do have good traction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that the other day I was at another pitch event, and they're selling this education tool, exact one which you talked about, personalizing the education to the child's skills set.
Mhm.
And in public schools, they're distributing the app, and it's extremely popular in
Yes.
South America. The Latino community, they love it. They're so pro creativity and stuff. So, something
That is interesting. That is good to know.
Okay, wonderful. Guys, so we'll keep chatting. Thank you so much for joining us on Pitch Cafe, and we will be back soon with another wonderful episode. So cheers to Dhanashri and Hasri Labs.
Thank you, Vida. Thank you for your time today, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Wonderful.